So, as many of you will now know, I'm writing the official biography of Junior Witter. You'll have to excuse me, I'm full of cold. I've been in bed for like a week. But anyway, the show must go on. So, I'm writing the exclusive biography of none other than Mr. Junior the Hitter Witter. I kind of grew up watching him, big hero man. It's funny because when I first announced I was writing this book, someone said, I think it was someone on YouTube, they said, "Oh my God, can't believe it. The most hated author of all time is writing the most hated ever fighters of all time." And do you know what? That's typical of people who, when the name Junior Witter is brought up, do you know, I was talking to Johnny Nelson a couple of weeks back, and he said something which really, really resonated with my brain. He said, Junior's greatly misunderstood. And looking in, when you don't know him, you know, he's, when you don't know him, you just look at him and you think, you look like a baddie. Because that's really what he played. He played the pantomime villain, played the role. Let's face it, he was in the same era as Britain's most loved fighter ever. Yes, there was Henry Cooper. Yes, there was Frank Bruno. But it was like, when Ricky Hatton come on the scene, he was just like, hold my beer. The guy took 30,000 to Las Vegas. That will never be done again. And no fighter in the history, in Britain, certainly, could have matched Ricky Hatton for being a Mr. Popular. So, Junior knew from early days that Ricky Hatton was going to be Luke Skywalker and Junior had to be Darth Vader. That's what he had to do to get the people talking, to get the fans buying tickets. And do you know, I can personally assure you all that he's actually not like that. See, I'm actually a bit of a knob. What you think about me, when you get to know me, I'm even worse. But Junior is, I remember meeting him for the first time, 2016. I took my son to, can't remember what it was now, Josh Warrington Wayne. And I looked at, I thought, oh, there's Junior Witter. And I went up and had a chat with him. And give me 5 minutes of his time or something. Spent a lot of time with my son as well. And I couldn't help but only think when he walked away, what a nice guy he is. He isn't actually what the media have portrayed him. And so I'd done the first chapter last night, and I've had to really research the whole lot. Certain things that I'd completely forgot about for like 15 years. Because, you know, in my opinion, Eddie Hearn just come that little bit too late for Ricky Hatton, Junior Witter. If he'd have come 5 years earlier, I'm just trying to think, Eddie Hearn's first big show was back in 2010. In fact, it was Audley Harrison against David Hay, November 2010. Hatton retired 2009. Obviously, Cook then come back. But yeah, Junior Witter was world champion 2006, 2007, 2000. So it was probably 5 years too late. But I think that fight would have definitely been done. Looking into it, I found a lot out. For instance, like Junior Witter kind of, so they come through the same time, and I know Junior's about 4 years older than Ricky, but they turned pro at the same time. And they were on a lot of shows at the same time. For instance, in 1999, they were on the undercard of Ryan Rhodes against Jason Matthews. And basically, Ricky Hatton was going to fight a guy called Isaac Cruz. And Billy Graham said, he was a Mexican, this Isaac Cruz, and Billy Graham said, Ricky's not fighting him. we don't know enough about him. Junior Witter can fight him. So Junior Witter went in, fought him. Ricky ended up fighting a guy called Mark Ramsey from Birmingham, who Junior Witter was going to fight, so they swapped opponents. Yeah, there was a lot of things like that went on that the British public don't know. You know, for instance, like when Junior Witter knocked out Vicious Vivian Harris, which Ricky didn't want that fight, so Junior's telling me. And then after Junior Witter knocks him out, Ricky comes back against a lightweight called Juan Lascano. And so this is his first fight after the Mayweather fight. And basically, so Juan Lascano, the year before, had been knocked out by Vicious Vivian Harris, who Junior Witter had already beat. So Ricky Hatton sold out 55,000 in Etihad Arena for a guy who Juan Lascano had been knocked out by the guy who Junior Witter knocked out. You know, there's so many different tales that I'm going to put out in this book. For instance, so the fight was made about 2001, 2002. Not made, but it was basically... so Brendan Ingle put John Thaxton in as a yardstick against Ricky Hatton. 2000, 2001, maybe 2002. Early 2000s anyway. And so that was as a gauger. So basically, if Ricky blew John Thaxton away, who Junior Witter would have absolutely ruined. This is what Johnny Nelson told me the other week. So if Ricky had looked really good in that fight would have been made. But it turns out that John Thaxton took Hatton the 12 rounds. Some people even say Thaxton beat Hatton. I can't really remember it off the top of my head. It was a long time ago. And that was the closest that fight ever got. Yeah, there's a lot of things that the British public don't know. You know, Junior, there's a lot of titles these days which are really just for Sky Television. And you know, these kind of WBO, European, Intercontinental, you can win some of them playing Snakes and Ladders. And Junior Witter went the old route, the old traditional route. Yes, he won. I think he won a version of a WBF, which is kind of like one of them titles that grow on trees. But, I mean, there was no English in them days. So Junior went the long route, the traditional route, and that was British, Commonwealth, European, and then the world title, which was the WBC, which was the best. You know, Ricky gave up his British title back in 2001, I want to say, but it might have been 2002, I can't remember. Rather than face Junior. And then when Junior cleared up with the British, the Commonwealth, the European, Ricky dined out on the less desirable WBU. I think most people know boxing will know the Commonwealth title is far greater than the WBU world title. But, of course, he stacked out arenas. And, you know, Junior said to me, the first time that fight was ever announced, brought up, was 1999 in Frank Warren's office. And I think it was Junior Witter and Frank Warren. And that Ricky had done well coming through at the same time. Back in them days, Ricky wasn't the ticket seller. It was Anthony Farnell and Michael Gomez. They kind of come as like a trio. And I think words were discussed, and Junior said to Frank, I'll beat Ricky Hatton. I'll beat you, boy. And Frank just kind of looked at him and said, yeah, you would, wouldn't you? You would. And yeah, you know, that fight was spoken of for 10 years. I watched a video this morning, and Tyson Fury, I think it was on IFL, Tyson Fury said, and it made my ears prick up when he mentioned it, he said, listen, Anthony Joshua against Tyson Fury is never going to happen. It's never going to happen. in the same way Junior Witter v Ricky Hatton never happened. And so if that's the heavyweight champion of the world, basically saying that his fight is just going to be like Hatton Witter, is using that as a prime example. And that's really tragic. It's really tragic to the boxing fans. But yeah, do you know what? Junior Witter, I think he's fabulous. I think he's misunderstood. I like him. I'm a bit strange as well, and I instantly gravitated to Junior Witter. I think he's great to study. He's a nice guy. He's easy to deal with. He's laid back. He's horizontal. I'll give you an example. He texted me once, and no, I text him, and I never heard anything. And then about a month later, 4 solid weeks later, he texts me, and it was just random. It was just like, he just sent me a message, and I was like, what are you on about? And then I had to scroll back up, and I realised that I'd asked him a question a month ago. And I was like, right, okay, because he's so laid back that when I first started working with him, I was thinking, I don't even know whether he likes me here. You know, he doesn't say much, and you know, a lot of Junior now realises boxing was a business, but at the time, some of his interviews, you know, Ricky played the game, had pints with most people who went and bought his tickets. Credit to the guy. You know, whoever was behind Ricky Hatton's public image was a genius. And Junior wasn't like that. You know, I've watched Junior's interviews after fights, and he's been like, the most he said something like, yeah, he was good, and I took him out. I did what I had to do, and I'm still champion. And that's as much as Junior Witter probably said. You know, Ricky Hatton had basically every Manchester City fan in the world. You know, Junior brought up in Bradford, based in Sheffield, so he's the complete polar opposite to his arch nemesis. But do you know, when I release this book, you're going to realise that the British public, this is going to be the side the British public, and probably in the greatest respect, Ricky Hatton and Frank Warren, I've never told you. And you know what? I mean, I often say Junior Witter completed the sport of boxing. British, Commonwealth, European, and not only a world champion, but a World Boxing Council champion. That most prestigious green strap. So he did everything that was asked of him. And I'll just tell you one thing, which I found out this week, and I didn't know this. So a lot of you will say, oh, well, Ricky didn't like Junior Witter and he didn't want to give him a payday. So I watched years ago interviews of Ricky Junior on Setanta Sport saying, if my expenses get covered, I'll do the fight for free. But what Junior offered was that he waive a huge percentage of his purse and give it to, I don't know, charity or the promoter's keeper or Ricky. Do you know, he was going to sign a contract which waived probably 70% of his purse, and he would have probably just got the usual. He was prepared to do that. So for Ricky Hatton to say that I'm not actually giving Junior a payday, that just doesn't wash. And we'll back that up with proof in the book. You know, and I'll be speaking to quite a few people as well, getting their theory on it. Boxing people, I had a little chat with Joe Calzaghe the other night. I've spoken to fighters in the past, Alan Temple, Alex Morrison, the promoter, Crawford Ashley, Mickey Van. I was talking to them the other day. So everyone has an opinion. And I'm not saying Junior would have beat Ricky. Although the bookies had him favourite, and that's a fact. The bookies had him favourite when that fight was possibly going to come off early 2000s. I'm just saying, if I sat and thought about it long enough, it can really still upset me now if I think, why did the British public never get to see that fight? You know, Ricky's saying, oh, he couldn't have sold tickets. Hatton Witter was pay-per-view all day. This book has a lot of funny stories. And one, I mean, I'll just give you, is there was an after-fight party, and Junior didn't really drink. Junior didn't really drink, but he'd turn up at parties and have a dance and that, and I can't remember what it was. It's on the dictaphone somewhere. That they might have even been on the same bill. And they were at the party, and all the Hatton family there, Matthew and Carol, and Junior kind of walks in with his some of the Ingle gyms, and he said, I could just read Ricky's mum's lips, looking at me like, yeah, what the fuck are you doing? Yeah. You know, it went deep. It did go deep. And I think to a lot of the Hatton family, that Junior Hatton is Beelzebub. He is Satan. He is the Antichrist. But listen, you can't take it away from him. He was there on merit. He wasn't a guy after a payday just because he wanted to fight Ricky Hatton. When he lost to Zab Judah, that fight was offered to Ricky Hatton as well before Junior took it in 2000. So when Junior lost to Zab Judah, he then went on to have an 18-fight winning streak. Not only win them all, but knocked them out, cleaned up domestically. So listen, you avoided the clues in the name, written by myself, Jamie Boyle, published by Warcry Publishing, forwarded by Johnny Nelson, and it's going to have some absolute barnstormer stories. A lot of stories that the public didn't know, and Mr. Witter, love him, or just don't understand him, and that, you know, yeah, I know him, and I find him hard to understand now. I think his girlfriend doesn't understand him, but you know what? He certainly divides mixed emotions. These days, the baddies are probably fighters like O'Hara Davies. Sorry, getting old. Derek Chisora. But a full generation ago, full 15 years ago, Junior Witter was strutting his stuff, and he was the bad guy. And you know, there's a quote which I'll probably stick in this book somewhere. Junior Witter fought Oscar Hall. Scott Hall, he was a wrestler, and he played Razor Ramon, and he said, good guys don't last, bad guys do. And Junior Witter was the original badass pantomime villain. And myself, Jamie Boyle, I'm really proud. I'm really happy of my association, and I get to write this book. So The Avoided Junior Witter is going to be coming early in the new year.